Hello, and welcome to Rampant Pyanodon Season 6, Episode 5. Last episode, we started off with the basic fluids by creating coal, gas, and tar builds. This episode, we aim to finish them off, starting with syngas. Syngas. So syngas has 5 different routes to take, and many of these are going to be familiar, and many we will not pursue for similar reasons as the ones we said in the past. Route 1 is distillates. It takes in chromium and naphthala, and without diving super far into the new chain, naphthala, it basically takes in distillates, high, low, mixed, stripped, medium. And above the distillates, we also have items like titanium, crude oil, which we don't have set up. Route 1 is a no. Routes 2A, 2B, and 2C are all using destructive distillation columns. It's the same recipes we covered last episode, so I won't really cover it in depth. Just know that A is the least efficient material-wise, B takes mad electricity, and C takes mad space. And then we have our last route, Route 3, filtration media. Filtration media actually looks like a ton of fun. It's like a billion tiny items where we start with bitumen and it turns into dirty syngas, and we purify it, make it hot, and then we finally have our output for syngas. Unfortunately, I just don't have any infrastructure built up, so this could be fun in the future, but not right now. So yeah, in the end, I think I knew what I was leading towards, but I wanted to do my due diligence and just check, Routes 1 and 3 aren't possible because I lack the infrastructure to create them right now, and routes 2B and 2C were already ruled out in the last episode due to the electricity and space requirements required to go with them, so we're going to go with Route 2A, which is actually already built. All I had to do was change the sign and then also switch the syngas and tar from excess output to primary and vice versa.
Huh?
All right, you know the drill. Let's go ahead and place it in. Bing, bam, boom. Easy peasy. Let's cue up some B-roll shots. And then check it off the list. And let's go ahead and move on. All right, so next up we have aromatics. And for aromatics, I was actually debating pretty hard about where to start the chain. I was debating whether we should start with our coal, gas, tar, and syngas standard blueprints, mainly because tar is our sole input, so we could either start with tar as the input, or we could start with raw coal using our standard blueprint. And after some considering, while it would be really funny to tack on another 160 buildings onto our syngas build, which already tacked on 27 buildings onto our coal gas build, I think it's probably finally time to start a new build from scratch. Now, you may have noticed in the recipe that we've chosen to go with that we are dealing with 6 different fluid byproducts. This is not something we have designed for in the past and is a new logistical challenge. My first attempt here, I tried to make one station able to provide an unlimited amount of different fluid types. I set each fluid to have its own container and then figured out how to use filters and enable disable the different pumps depending on what's required from the Cybersyn system. The issue with this approach is that even though the pumps were counting correctly, there would be some minuscule amount stuck in the actual pump. So I would pump towards it when it was required, and then I would pump the extra fluids back out of the system. But there was always some tiny amount stuck in the pump that would automatically drop into the next fluid train station, even though the pipe would show up as empty. My second attempt remedied this by having each wagon have access to each different type of fluid. So this, of course, would limit the amount of different fluids I can provide to the number of pumps I could stuff next to each station. My second attempt has managed 4, and now that I've taken a break and started writing the script, I realized that I could probably stuff more. And I did try. I tried, and I was able to get 6. 6 was working for me, and 6 was fine because 6 is how much we need. So, for now, this is our standard 6 fluid sushi station provider. Okay, and it's time to do the aromatics build. As you saw in the previous page, we have about 55 buildings, which produces about 185 aromatics per second. It's quite a unique build because we have one ingredient, which is the tar. We also have 5 excess ingredients, right? So possibly to help us if we have excess somewhere in the factory, that is light oil, middle oil, steam, naphthalene oil, and pitch that we bring in. And then we also have 5 excess oils as well, or 5 excess fluids, which is hydrogen, carbolic oil, gasoline, creosote, and atheracene. And then we also have coke, which is a very valuable resource. As you can see here, we kind of have like most of the buildings down, and the building is, I mean, it's just massive. 55 buildings, I didn't think it would be that bad. You could have kind of saw the trend with coal gas to tar, and now with aromatics that we are sort of slowly returning back into the proper Vic form, which is just massive overbuilding. It's just, I was trying not to do this. I really liked our coal and coke build. They were very small and cute, but now the builds are they're just massive again. But I already spent all this time making it, so I mean, like, it's here to stay. And to be honest, I love it. So many pipes. The fluid, the redirection took forever to handle. And I was constantly making mistakes, so I probably spent like 1 or 2 hours total, like just debugging this thing. I also placed down a bunch of roboports and decorating it. The roboports I think look okay. They're kind of spread out. Wanted to add more turbines and aerial turbines in the sort around, but I guess yeah, I couldn't really find a way to make them fit very natural looking. So I think there's like 2 or 3. But yeah, in general, the build is very much like you start from the right, you get your tar, and it kind of goes through all the fluids. The fluids just flow in and out freely. We have underflow valves so that we can prioritize excess fluids that come in before we use internal fluids. And then to the left side, we kind of dump all the excess fluids we have using the multi-fluid sushi provider station that we developed earlier. And also, all the buildings with coke are on the left as well, just so that we have to build less belts. But yeah, this is actually one of the longer builds so far this season, and I mean, I like it. It looks beautiful. All right, and y'all know the drill by now, so let's just boop boop bop, boop boop bop, and then we can work on acetylene. And then now we can go to acetylene. So for choosing a path for acetylene, you either had to decide if you were starting from coke or if you were once again building coke from scratch. And if you chose to build coke from scratch, you would probably go with the already established red hot coke method because that's the build I decided to go for my dedicated coke build. So either go with the red hot coke or you can choose to start with coke. So for many of my other builds, I decided to start from raw coal or tar. That would be for tar, coal gas, syngas, and aromatics. I chose to start from very basic items, and that's because I have a lot of raw coal, and I thought it would make the most sense to, I guess, start from raw coal for a lot of these builds. The reason I'm not going to start from raw coal or tar for this build is because I know that a lot of recipes in the future spit out coke as a byproduct. So this includes even our aromatics build that we just built. I think it's like 44 coke per second as a byproduct. So a ton of coke from aromatics. We have coke from coarse coal, and I know we'll get coke from hot air. So I think there's a lot of things that give us coke as a byproduct. And again, if there isn't, then we can just go ahead and scale up our coke production. So our final choice is to start from coke. So the coke build is pretty simple, relatively speaking, compared to our previous builds. We use a soil extractor to mine up limestone and combine that with coke in high pressure furnace to create lime. Then we take that lime and more coke into another high pressure furnace to turn that into calcium carbide. The calcium carbide is mixed with water in a gas fire to create the sought after acetylene with slaked lime as a byproduct. We then take that slaked lime and put it back in an evaporator to turn that slaked lime back into lime to be reprocessed. I've decided for this build I will take excess limestone, lime, and slaked lime from my system. This is because I know that limestone and lime will be byproducts of certain chains in the future. I wasn't too sure about slaked lime, but I put it in so if we ever have excess slaked lime from somewhere, we have it now. I thought we did, but when I looked in the recipe book, I couldn't find any. Um, we also produce excess gravel, carbon dioxide, and most importantly, we produce an even 250 acetylene per second. You should know how it goes at this point. We just kind of And yeah, that brings us to the end of the episode. We finished acetylene, which means we finished our basic fluids, that is coal gas, tar, acetylene, aromatics, and syngas. So yeah, next episode we may head into basic plate production, but actually there's three other things that I think we should probably do beforehand. But yeah, that'll be the end of the episode. Always amazing thanks to my patrons, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.